Look, I need to tell you about the most unexpected night of my life. And I mean that in a way you probably are not even close to imagining right now. So stick with me because this story goes in a direction that genuinely nobody sees coming, including me. And I was there living it in real time. So my boss, right? She pulls me aside one afternoon at the office. Now my boss is this sharp, no-nonsense woman who does not really do small talk. She is the kind of person who walks into a room and the whole energy shifts. So when she pulls me aside with this slightly softer look on her face, I already knew something unusual was happening. And then she says it. She tells me she wants to set me up on a blind date. Now let me pause here because I need you to understand the context. This is my boss, my actual boss, the woman who approves my time off and signs off on my performance reviews. And she is standing there telling me she knows someone she thinks would be perfect for me. I did not even know she paid that much attention to my personal life. I was caught completely off guard. Part of me wanted to politely decline because mixing your professional world with your personal life is always a gamble. But something about the way she said it, with this quiet confidence, made me just say yes. She gives me almost no details. Just a name, a time, and a restaurant. That is it. No photo, no background information, nothing. A true blind date in every sense of the word. I spent the next few days going back and forth between curiosity and pure anxiety. Because what if this person and I have absolutely nothing in common? What if it is painfully awkward? What if I have to face my boss on Monday morning and explain why it did not work? The night arrives and I show up to this restaurant and I am standing near the entrance looking around when someone walks in and I genuinely had to do a double take. She was stunning. I mean the kind of person who walks into a space and you just notice them immediately. She looks around, our eyes meet, and she smiles and I am thinking, okay, maybe my boss actually knows what she is doing here. We sit down and within about 10 minutes of talking I realize something is a little off. Not in a bad way, in a fascinating way. Because this girl is nothing like I expected. She is funny, but not in a predictable way. She is sharp, quick, a little chaotic in her storytelling, jumping from topic to topic, but somehow keeping me completely hooked on every single word. And then it comes out. Casually, almost like she does not realize the weight of what she is saying. She mentions her mom, and she describes her mom, and every single detail lines up perfectly with my boss. I set down my drink, I look at her, and I say the name of my boss out loud like a question. And she just laughs this big open laugh and says, yes, that is her mom. That is her actual mom. My boss set me up with her own daughter and did not tell me, did not give me a single warning, just sent me in completely blind. And here is the thing, I should have been weirded out. And for about 30 seconds I genuinely was. But then I looked at this girl sitting across from me laughing at my reaction, and something about the whole situation just became hilarious to both of us. We spent the next 20 minutes talking about how unbelievably bold that move was from her mother. Like, who does that? Who sets their employee up with their kid and says absolutely nothing about it? Dinner ended up going way longer than planned. We talked about everything. She had this energy that was impossible to pin down. One moment she was serious and thoughtful, and the next she was suggesting we ditch dessert and go find somewhere more interesting. And I went along with it because honestly the whole night already felt like I was in some alternate reality anyway. We ended up back at my apartment because she wanted to see my record collection, which I know sounds like the oldest excuse in the book, but she had specifically asked about it at dinner when I mentioned it, and she was genuinely excited about it. Now here is where the wild part really begins, because from the moment she walked into my apartment she was like a completely different force of nature. She immediately started going through my records like she owned the place, pulling things out, holding them up, asking questions, playing songs for about 45 seconds before moving to the next one. Then she found my guitar in the corner, and without asking, she just picked it up and started playing, and she was actually really good, like properly good. I had no idea that was coming. Then she announces she is hungry again even though we just had dinner. So we raided my kitchen and she started cooking this random thing with whatever she found in my fridge, and she made it look like the most natural thing in the world. She is just fully at home in a space she has never been in before, surrounded by someone she met 2 hours ago. No hesitation, no awkwardness, just completely herself. And while we ate, she started telling me about her life, and some of what she shared genuinely floored me. She had done things that most people only talk about. She had lived in 3 different countries, not for long stretches, just months at a time, just because she wanted to. She had walked away from a career that most people would have killed for because she realized she was doing it for other people's approval and not her own satisfaction. She talked about failure with this kind of ease that most people never develop, like she had made peace with the messiness of being human a long time ago. And I remember sitting there thinking, this person is unlike anyone I have ever met. Not just in a romantic way, in a completely fundamental way. She operated on a different frequency. She did not perform comfort. She just was comfortable. She did not try to impress. She just was impressive. And that combination of qualities is genuinely rare. We talked until around 3 in the morning. I am not exaggerating. Hours just disappeared. At some point, she asked me what I was actually afraid of in life, and the question just hung there, and I found myself being more honest than I expected to be. She had that effect. She made honesty feel easy. She eventually left, and the apartment felt weirdly quiet after she was gone, like the volume of the whole world had dropped several notches. And I lay there thinking about how one single yes to my boss had completely cracked open my evening in the best possible way. Now here's the part I want to get to. Because I know what you were thinking. You were thinking, okay, what happened next? Did you see her again? What about the boss situation? How do you even navigate that? And the answer is yes, we did see each other again, multiple times. And yes, it became something real. And yes, talking to my boss on Monday morning was one of the most surreal conversations of my professional life. She just looked at me when I walked in, raised an eyebrow, and said so. And I just laughed. And she smiled in this way that suggested she knew exactly what she was doing all along and had absolutely zero regrets about any of it. She is either the boldest matchmaker alive or completely chaotic herself. And honestly, I think her daughter gets it directly from her. The thing about unexpected nights is that you never really plan for them. You plan for a version of things going fine. You plan for manageable outcomes. You armor yourself with expectations, and then reality just walks in wearing your boss's daughter's face and plays guitar in your living room at midnight and asks you what you're actually afraid of. And that unpredictability, that chaos, that completely unscripted quality, it turns out that is not something to be afraid of. It is actually where the best things happen. The moments that reshape you never come announced. They show up as a blind date you almost said no to. If you have ever had a night that completely rewired the way you see things, drop it in the comments because I know I am not the only one. And if you want to hear more about how this whole situation continued to unfold with both the daughter and, yes, my boss, subscribe, because that follow-up is genuinely worth waiting for.